Alright. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a big old best of 5. We are focusing on this Danish Wunderkind on the left side of the map. It's Psystorm Gaming's MaxPax, who I have been tipped off has been figuring out new variations of the Glaive Adept pressure, and he showcased these just a few weeks ago in this EPT Weekly Cup up against this man in the bottom right. That is, of course, Shopify Rebellion's Lambo. The man who has been on an absolute tear lately, forced to take his third base rather than the natural. I think Lambo's big weakness, in my opinion, is his Zerg versus Terran. I think he's a strategic mastermind, and I think he struggles a little bit more because mechanically under pressure, high-paced situations where things are going a million miles an hour and mechanics kind of trump everything else, I feel like Lambo does have a little bit of trouble keeping up with the next generation. But you put him in a Zerg versus Protoss or a Zerg versus Zerg, I think his understanding and his strategy really come to the forefront. And I mean, I say struggle, I mean, like, is slightly weaker than his opponents. I mean, that's really what Pro StarCraft is. It's a matter of just little edges here and there, isn't it? Now, it is going to be the standard Nexus on 20. Notice he's paused probe production, Cybercore, and you're going to see probes resume in a moment. This is a very standard opening for MaxPax. He's going to go for a gas now in a moment on 21 supply. So it's Q a probe, build a gas, Q another probe, and then he's going to put a pylon down. And I wonder where he wants to put that pylon. Looks like he's going to do it here, maybe? Now, the funny thing with this pylon, right, is often you want to build it somewhere in the back area over here or here if you really want to hide your tech, so the Overlord has to come very deep to see it. The downside is you don't have that much production space. So sometimes, especially with beginner players, I really advise people sometimes just put that pylon like here. And then you just have so much space to build buildings on it. And you can actually go like, if you build your buildings up right next to it as well, notice you can always fit 2 buildings on either side of it. And if you then wedge those in a bit of a grid, you can fit like something like 10 gateways on a single pylon. It's really, really fascinating. Whereas whenever I you know, get a bit chaotic in my games, or whenever I'm watching a player who's just a disorganized player, which is, let's be real, a lot of us, you see them fit like 2 gateways and a forge on a pylon, and then there's no space left because they're all on weird diagonals, all kind of blocking each other and stuff, and it's just so space inefficient. But it is what it is. Down here in the bottom right, of course, Lambo's pulled off gas fully. He's got Ling speed going. That third hatchery started right around 2 minutes 30, which is pretty standard. And the Stargate, I mean, this is not a Glaives build, so maybe that's going to happen later in the series. It is a best of 5. Obviously, MaxPax is not a guy who's just going to do the same build every game. He is a strategy player, and he always has been. Always really prioritizing trying to surprise his opponents where possible. Now, look at this, guys. Lambo didn't scout. All he saw was that Warp Gate was delayed. He said 95% of the time, that means you're using that extra 50 gas for a faster Stargate. So he just said, let's get out of there. I don't want to give you any free kills, and he's flying that Overlord all the way home. Now, that Adept did go in and actually got a drone. Sorry for missing that, guys. So good micro. Gets the Adept out as well. That's a really good start with the Adept. Any damage you can get there is nice. And look at the way this Overlord's hiding. So the Void Ray, it's out here hunting, but look at its attack path. No Overlords on that attack path, and it's just going to go check out and see exactly what it can spot. Meanwhile, Zerglings are going to come in. Adept is there, though, and we'll deny that for now. Zergling does a little bit of a loop-de-loop. All right, so Lambo now, how many queens? We've got 4 queens out, 2 more on the way, guys. Keep your eye on this. It's 4 minutes, and there's no gases or Roach Warren, which means he's not going to do his really fast 4-minute queen move out, but he could still very well drop gas and Roach Warren at about 4 minutes 20. At latest 4 minutes 30. So this next 10-second window is really where you're looking as MaxPax. Hey, is he going to be dropping gases in a Roach Warren, or is he just droning up? Ooh, gets one drone, but nice Spore Trick. The Void Ray actually gets a couple of drones up the top. That's where the real damage is happening. I was like, dude, I don't know where these drones are stacking up. The Oracle's not actually killing anything, but the Void Ray gets 3 drones, and the Oracle gets 3 drones. That's a lot of damage. 7 drones stacked up so far, and uninterrupted at home. Second Stargate Forge, very nice opening for Maximus Paximus. And Lambo is going for an Evo Chamber, a sign there that he wants to play a longer game. Still doesn't have a lair. He's going Roach Warren Evo. As I say that, the lair does start up. You notice here the gases only going down closer to 5 minutes. So it's all about building up the drone count. Big mineral focus. Really seems like he wants to play a bit more of a straight up game. Does Lambo. And that's going to be interesting here on Blackburn, a map where there's not a lot of different attacking routes. It's much more of a front-on map. So you're often pushing through this bottom corridor and You can't really multi-prong, because if you want to attack from the top, you're kind of stuck in this corridor. There's no way to quickly rotate from here to over here. You've got to go all the way around. And because of that, it just limits your mobility. You can't go from here and then jump into the main unless you have drops or Nidus Worms or Blink or something like that. So without some sort of maneuverability tech, you're going to have a lot of issue there. And +1 range is on the way. We've got Queens pumping on out. Gold base is there. Void Ray is going to look for that snipe, but Lambo well positioned so far. Now, this is always very dicey because Queens are so good once you stack up a lot of transfuse energy, and you can see their first 3 transfuses are now available. But if you ever get caught out, similar number of Void Rays to Queens, and the Queens only have 1 or 2 transfuses, things can go awry very quickly. And the way Queens work is they build up so slowly. So if you ever lose your early Queens, well, those are the Queens that would have had the most time to build up transfuse energy. Oh my god, look at this multi-prong, guys. 2 adepts in the main, 2 in the natural. He's actually doing pretty well. He's trying to come in on the gold at the same time. Doesn't quite find it. The adepts in the main are going to get another few workers, 6, 7, and he will finally get cleaned up. You know what? I think that was pretty well defended, guys. That was 4 adepts. Wait. Oh, it was the same 2 adepts from the natural that shaded into the main. I thought it was 2 different pairs. I'm an idiot. Never mind, guys. An Aspire and a Hive will go down. So Lambo wants to get Broodlords to counter any sort of ground transition from MaxPax, as well as to give him the ability to actually push into his opponent. And I wonder, will he do it rogue style, where he actually just tries to push with Broodlord Queen Infestor? Doesn't look like it as he's halted Queen production. Looks like he will be adding more of a static Spore Corruptor style onto this. But Void Rays here being annoying. He's got to respread that creep. Notice how MaxPax has really limited his creep spread. He's really got to get rid of that tumor. MaxPax not on a move there. Goes right past the active tumor. And he will turn around and go, hey, wait a second. Well done. Oracle in the top, looking for that base, sees it the moment it goes down. But he's got a 4th base almost finished, does MaxPax. He's up on 75 workers, which is a very nice economy. It's +2 air weapons finishing as well. And oh, cute little stasis trap. Now that's really nice because you can queue that up, guys, but he does react quickly, does Lambo. Adepts on the gold come in and get a drone or 2 as well. They will finally get cleaned up. Lambo's doing a pretty good job of keeping his economy alive. Uh-oh, Void Ray rotate in the bottom. 5 Chad Rays heading towards the main base. There's not a lot of anti-air nearby. As I say it, though, Lambo apparently aware of this. His Queen's moving up here. He's got 1/1 melee carapace. He's got a Great Aspire on the way. Another stasis trap coming in. Lambo notices it again. Quick responses from the German. And shame on me for insulting his multitasking or his mechanical side of things. He's doing it excellently in this game. Really excellent play from him. 4th base on the gold is now looking pretty well saturated. Disruptors are coming in, but MaxPax has not really made that ground transition. Notice the gateways, the Twilight, are only coming up now. So adding usually some charge lots, some Archons, they're going to come in, and by that point, Broodlords should already be on the field, because that Great Aspire is halfway done, and Lambo on 103 workers stacking up the money. Now, this is a vulnerable point in the game, because if you look at the units tab, if there was Zealot Archon coming in for an attack, what would Lambo have? Queens just don't do much damage versus ground units. Roaches, there's only 3 of them. As the Oracle comes in and gets another 2 kills. Very nicely done. Is this a second Oracle? No, this is still the first Oracle this game. And here we go. Nice little push coming forward. He's going to look for the big ball in the center of the Queens. Big ball! But the Ling Roach is going to focus down that Disruptor, but nope, the carriers defend it. Nice focus fire from MaxPax. You see how he shift-clicked the Roaches there? So that they didn't go after the Queens. Oh, big ball! But the Microbial Shroud seems to be holding on pretty well. Not many spores in the mix, but that Microbial Shroud, that big orange bloom, it stops air to ground damage by 50%. So it does mean those carriers end up doing very little, even with their... Actually, they've only got +1 attack versus +1 carapace as well. So the upgrades are canceling out right now. Broodlords are going to morph in, and an Accidental Mutalisk enters the queue there for Lambo. A lot of people make a Panic Swarm Host, an Accidental Swarm Host. Lambo, a fan of the Accidental Single Mutalisk, one of the most useless units in the game, but it is what it is. And he's actually continuing to mass Queens right now. This is cool. So he's really saying, okay, no worries. Oh my god, Spready. Okay, he does a pretty good Spready. The double Disruptor gets a few Queens. He doesn't have that much transfuse energy. Oh, Broodlords. Get out of there, Broodlords. A few of those Broodlords just got snapped. The Overseer goes down. The Interceptor count's pretty low. He's got to start killing the Void Rays, but oh my god! Dude, is he just gonna die? I think he's lost too much anti-air. I think the spores were a little too late. He's got enough energy to keep Microbial shrouding it, but he's lost so much anti-air. Is he going to be ready by the next wave? Because remember, the Zealot Archon's here. He's got nothing on the ground. 8 Roaches. Where are those Roaches? They're up in the main base. He's got 4 Broodlords. I guess that should help out. Does he have enough anti-air? 8 Queens, 3 Corruptors. What else is shooting up here? Not very much. I think it's Spore all the time. He's got to move Spores over here, but look at the way MaxPax is maneuvering. He's saying Queens are not a very mobile unit. Stasis Trap lands in the top side of the map, and it looks like the early harassment damage just moving on into this. And Lambo not quite able to get up the defenses required in time. The Corruptors are going to start focusing down some of these Void Rays, but that Prismatic Alignment, oh my lord, that is deadly. Look at how fast the Corruptors are falling. And he can just kill the Broodlords now. Oh my god, the Broodlords just disappear from our screen there. A savage display of Protoss Focus Fire. Zealots on the gold base at the same time. Another Stasis Trap will go up in the top side. That's going to freeze up the drones there. And Lambo getting caught out by a very nice timing attack there. The carrier Void Ray coming on in, and we see the way the Queens are so good at defending that style, but they are so vulnerable to the disruptor shots. And a very nice play by MaxPax to just blast the Queens apart with the disruptors and get on through there. I thought Lambo was solid, but MaxPax breaks through game 1. All right, we're going into map number 2 here, down in the bottom left side of the map at Psystorm Gaming's MaxPax. Great game 1 victory, and in the top right, Shopify Rebellion's Lambo. And we'll see how that Glaive Adept timing looks. Does it come out in this game, the 3rd game, the 4th game potentially? We'll see exactly what the hell goes on there, and what goes on. Someone in the chat can't see anything. Open your eyes! You just gotta open your eyes, bro. Probe's gonna come down. Lambo. Now, interesting, guys. Check this out. Lambo is gonna go to the left side. A lot of people like to take that front hatchery so they can have a bit of a head start on a Queen Walk, but Queen Walk not the preferred strategy on this map. And this base does just line up defensively much nicer, in my opinion. Allows you to just kind of defend this central area. So I like this choice of the 3rd base for Lambo. It does, the only kind of problem is that it does forecast that you're probably not going to be Queen Walking, but we'll see exactly how it does. And Probe's going to just dance around, trying to be annoying. And once again, very standard opening here for MaxPax. You can see he's going to pause Probes after that one that pops out, and you'll notice he's rallying to gas. So 15 on minerals, 1 missing. 15 on minerals, 1 missing from there, and of course, flea mining the gas as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, the Probe still being a bit of a cheeky dickhead over here, just hanging out, saying, hey, look, I'm occupying your mineral patch, but Lambo's microing against it very well. That one got bounced, so you can see he bounced a worker there. Lambo quickly fixes it up, though. So very good micro. Lambo's not letting himself get thrown off. He's saving that lava. That should be an Overlord. There we go. It is producing now. No worries. So MaxPax does accidentally harvest 5 minerals at the end. The pool's finished anyway, so it's kind of time to leave. You know, Queens and Lings will be popping out shortly. And a second Queen will pop out. Another drone. Another 2 drones. No Zerglings for Lambo. So Lambo, he likes to play this style where you get a few more drones out, then you go into your Zerglings for the first Adept. He doesn't want to try and, say, sneak 2 Zerglings into the base or anything like that. And that Stargate, once again, for MaxPax. Now, this is fascinating. And we'll see exactly which direction it goes, because the Stargate's very, very powerful, as we saw in that last game, especially if you hit those crucial kind of finishing timing attacks. But, okay. So hatchery goes down on the natural. Lambo injecting the main straight away. No creep tumors and no 3rd Queen just yet. Interesting. So I think he's not too worried about the double Adept, I would argue. Because it feels like he's so economically focused. He's only got 2 Zerglings still. And the Adept's actually staying at home. So MaxPax is more worried about the Zerglings coming in. He did do the fake shade out. Of course, I've talked about that a lot in the past. Basically, run backwards, shade forwards, and the Overlord doesn't know. Because he can't see the Adept and he can't see where the shade finishes. He doesn't know if that Adept's on the map or not. So it does keep things, you know, a little bit questionable about what's going on. Now, the Void Ray, of course, will rally to the front. Lambo's hanging out down here much longer this time around, so he's more willing to sacrifice the Overlord in this game and see exactly what can go on with that. The hatchery in the natural is going to be finishing shortly. Up to 4 Queens soon. And notice that 2 Queens on the 3rd defends it from an Oracle. About 350 is when an Oracle could be arriving. And 2 queens in the main. Also going to be ready before 350. So even if it was Oracle first, that would be fine. And oh my god, Maxpax just killed the female Karak. Oh my god, that's harsh, dude. She just wanted to hang out on Hardwire, watch some Zerg vs Protoss action. She got front row seats to the ZVP slaughterhouse. And this fucking Adept comes up and just is like, no, fuck you. You look kind of like a Zerg. I'm going to chop you in half. Angry Psycho. God damn. Void Ray here, going to try and push back some of these Zerglings. Notice he tries to move it forward to kill that, but good micro by Lambo, pulling back. It's got this Zergling hanging out here as well, trying to see what's up. Oracle coming in on the third. Are those queens well positioned? Yes, they are. Maxpax has to back off. Gets a Revelation down for scouting. Doesn't see too much with that. Just, oh, yep, lots of drones. Not much else. Forge, second Stargate coming down as well. And those 4 gases are going to be mining. Just a moment. What do we got there? Roach Warren. Interesting. Okay, so Roach Warren comes down 430 and double gas. Wow, hello. 4 gases even. Now, if he doesn't pop a lair up right now, I would say... I don't know, actually. I'm real curious about that. I guess just because his work account's pretty good, because he hasn't taken any damage this game. Oh, yeah, that is the difference. Uh-oh. Hasn't taken any damage. Maxpax says, hello, pig. Hello. Hold that thought, dickhead. And ow, ow, ow. Zerglings are just a little out of position there. And 5 drones go down. Finally, a bit of damage coming out here for Maxpax. But his Revelation, he missed the front creep tumor. That's the most important one, because that's the one that can, of course, keep spreading. Now that Void Ray does get another creep tumor, gets out of there with minimal damage. Actually, no damage to it. Very nicely done. And only 1 tumor needs to get replaced. So he is going for a Queen Walk, but it's a 4 gas Queen Walk. I didn't realize you need 4 gases. I guess if you want to make 10 Ravagers all at once. So it's kind of a delayed Queen Walk, guys. 8 Queens are moving across this map. Those 2 do get distracted a little bit. He's going to march forward. I think he took this back third specifically to just make it look like, oh yeah, I'm just doing a defensive build. I'm not taking the front hatchery. I talked about that earlier. And then he is actually going for the Queen Walk. Now, normally your Lings want to try and deny some of these cannons and batteries coming up, but he is going to go for the natural. I mean, that's absolutely the way you want to do, because then you can branch into the third if it's undefended, or into the natural. But look at that, so many cannons and batteries coming up. It feels like this is not the fastest timing. That being said, he's going to have all the Ravagers arriving with the Queens. This is still a pretty brutal attack. There is no lair. If there was DTs, that would absolutely shut this down, but Maxpax did not go for that. He's gone for the pure air version. +1 kicks in, 5 Void Rays out, 6th Void Ray about to hit the field. Watch out for the Biles, Maxpax. His first cannon taking big damage in the natural. Will he pop an overcharge, or will he save it until things get a little bit more committed? I think he wants Lambo to commit his queens before he activates an overcharge on one of these batteries on the bottom. A cannon up at the third does go down. 1 queen falls, another queen falls actually. Battery overcharge going down here. He's trying to bile the Void Rays to help that fight. Oh, he's going to try and move on in, but these queens are not really doing any damage, and their transfuses are gone. I think Maxpax wins the air fight. Look at that. Yeah, he's fighting the queens. He's not even focusing the Ravagers. So he just goes straight for the queens there, kills a bunch of them. He knows he can win that fight whenever he wants, but he's trying to defend his probes for now. He's got to keep dodging the Biles. Look at those Biles. Really well done here by Lambo. Lambo's going to crack the natural. He's going to kill a lot of these probes. But the Ravagers, one of them gets focused down. A queen out front. Ooh, Biles landing on one of the Void Rays. But look at the way they just dart on forward. And now you've lost your anti-air. Lambo, time to transition. Building more queens, building a lair. He's going to focus down the Nexus, maybe? But he's going to lose every single Ravager doing this. And that is very nasty. Notice he's just biling it. Oh, he's got to kill this. He's got to kill this. If he can't kill that, this is a fucking disaster if he can't get that kill. Oh, 8 hit points. 8 hit points. Oh, that's so painful for Lambo. And look at that. Battery overcharge now comes off cooldown and heals it back up to 1,000 shields. I thought those last 2 Biles would clinch it, but you know what, guys? He'd regenerated a tiny bit of energy on his battery, and he manually healed it for like 10 hit points, and it survived on 8. If Maxpax did not do that manual healing just before those Biles hit, it would have died. And he defends it. Now, he's not got a big worker count. He's down 10 workers. Doesn't matter, because there's only 3 queens out. Lambo's dead. Lambo was not non-stop producing queens during this. And look at this. He's going to get overwhelmed. He cannot defend 9 Void Rays with 5 queens. He's dead. And I've been in this scenario many times. Lambo's trying to move spores down to help back himself up. He's already lost 1 queen, 2 queen, 3 queens. Look how quick the spore disappears. He does run in with some Zerglings, goes for the desperate second round snipe. But that there was a beautiful hold by Maxpax, who takes the 2-0 lead. All right, guys, game number 3 now.
Thanks for the Bezos
I told you guys we were going to see a lot of Glaive Adepts, and I think finally we're at the map where we're going to see it, because this is a very short map, game 3. It's Curious Minds. Max in the top left, Lambo in the bottom right. Now, there were some other series from this tournament as well, which I'll be casting in separate videos against a few other beastly players. I won't give away if they were in later or earlier rounds than this match, but basically he was playing some matches where I think he uses it more than once in the other series as well. So we will get to see more of it, but let's keep an eye on the build order and really focus. For now, he sent a probe across very early to get the block. Goes gateway, and you can see starts chrono boosting. Now, I think that might have been a 13 pylon to make sure he got across this map as quickly as possible, but I'm actually not 100% sure, so I'll check that at the end of this replay. People in the chat can remind me to rewind that and see what happens. And what do we got? Okay, 16 on minerals. Notice this time, guys, no 15 on minerals. It's 16 on minerals. So gas not prioritized as much. If you're not going Stargate, you're not as gas focused. So it looks like the exact same build, but already one minor change is that we are not going to ever dip below 16 workers on minerals once we hit that point. 20 Nexus, 20 Cybercore again. It'll still be the same timings otherwise for now, but let's keep our eyes on this build order, and let's see how Lambo defends it. Now, Lambo's gone for the front third. Very common. I mean, Queen Walk is so good on this map. So what's really interesting, I find, about Curious Minds is Queen Walk is just absolutely deadly, right? It's so deadly. But the thing is, even just playing ground styles as Protoss, I mean, which third do you take? I feel like this third is actually better to defend. Yet we always take this third, and then we're just in this giant, wide open area. I mean, you've got a bit of terrain there. You've got the mineral line you can fall back into as well as here. It's really hard to defend big ground attacks. So, I mean, they can even Queen Ravager walk you even if you're not playing Void Rays. Just use the queens for like transfuses and tanking and stuff, and it's a hard third to defend. I feel like this third's a little easier to defend because you got the ramps to deal with, but even there, they can just like rush up into your natural, and then you got to come out into this open area. This is not the tightest choke on the third either, so it's going to be interesting to see, and if you can kind of pin back the opponent with the adepts, that's nice. You could definitely delay a queen walk for a while, keep them on the defense. Behind that though, do you just go Blink Stalkers? Like, for me, I'd always be like, get Immortals and Sentries out, because I'm an Immortal Charge guy. MaxPax is a Blink Stalker boy. He's a Disruptor boy. So I think what he's going to be planning to do is probably follow up with just Blink Stalker Sentry, and that is such a good defensive composition because of the way you can hold back your opponent's onslaught, their charge, their swarm of units with force fields. And not only that, but you can also just blink back units. And that army meshes so well with shield batteries, because similar to Void Rays, the reason Void Rays are so good with shield batteries is you never get surrounded by Zerglings. It's kind of the same with Stalker Sentry, because you force field out the Zerglings, number one. Number two, you blink back even if you do get surrounded. And so what happens is the Zerg often ends up trying to break through Stalkers, and say they're pushing into this area and the Stalkers are like here, and there's a battery there, and it looks like they're breaking the Stalkers, but the Stalkers are all blinking back over here, over here, over here, over here. And you end up with this giant, beautiful concave of damaged Stalkers, none of them dead, all of them healing from the batteries. And the Zerg army just runs out of steam at a certain point. Unless the Zerg really has an economic advantage, they'll be in trouble. Guys, let's focus on the build. Holy shit. Guys, he pulled off gas a couple of workers. He paused probes a few times already, just a tiny little bit here or there. It's an economic version of the build. He's going 38 probes. This is not the Zaun build, but this is still going to be a very crisp 4-gate Glaive Adept timing. This feels like about as close to the classic Zest build as possible, but he's actually really... This is very MaxPax style, though. Even when MaxPax plays PvT and does 4-gate Blink, similar to this 4-gate Adept build, he keeps probing behind it a little bit more than, say, a Parting would or a Zest would. Those guys who commit a little bit more to their attacks. So MaxPax, yeah, he's already going for the Robo Bay. Okay, I know exactly what build this is. So I'm pretty sure what MaxPax is going to do, guys. Look at that, 7 Adepts only at 430. This is not that scary. This is not the 8 Adepts you'd normally expect, and that's because he invested in a Stalker early to deny the Overlord. So he's going to run into Mass Queen Zergling for now, and there's not enough Adepts to beat that. There is no way near enough Adepts. And look at that, the Prism gets pushed back, but he does get a Queen kill. So good defense by Lambo, but not overcommitting for MaxPax, and he's going to warp in another 4. That brings it up to 11. That's a much scarier count. These roaches starting to pop, though, desperately needed for Lambo. Lambo's down 3 or 4 workers right now. And MaxPax, I'll talk about his follow-up in a moment, but he wants to do a Disruptor Adept follow-up attack, which is very deadly. And another Queen just went down, still hasn't lost an Adept, and this is it, guys. A lot of players look to kill their opponent. They're trying to shade 2 Adepts in the third, 2 in the natural, and really dance around. MaxPax, though, he's got a full 2 base economy. Look at that, guys. Fully saturated, moving out to take a third, and he's already got Disruptors on the way. He's saying, look, any Queen Roach counterattack, even just Mass Roach, is so deadly on this map, I want to have balls. So I can always swap into a defensive stance, but I'm actually going to go Warp Prism speed. He's going to get 2 balls, a firm set, put them inside his Warp Prism, and then he is going to try and just drop those and knock out the drones, knock out the roaches, and he can even pair that up. If he keeps warping in Adepts, it means he's going to pair it with a ground attack. So keep your eyes on his warp-ins. If he warps in more Adepts, he's going to be doing the attack that Zaun, Straya, a few of these guys love a lot, where they just basically run around with like 25 Adepts. They'll shade them into your base, and when your roaches come back to deal with it, the Speed Prism comes in and drops giant Purification Novas on their face. And there we go, more Adepts warping in. The second Disruptor's about to pop out. MaxPax, he's bringing out that firm set of nuts. He's got the nuts, lads. And he's going to be bringing him forward. He's got a bit of an Adept Stiffy with 2 firm Disruptors coming behind it. And that is indeed going to be an interesting combo. Let's see how Lambo deals with this. This is going to be a bit of a problem. And still such a good transition behind it. Forge, Blink, Probing. He's only down 7 workers. Lambo's got to watch out for these disruptive shots. Whoa! Good spready, but he still takes 2 pretty big hits, man. And look at that. He just picks up and gets out of there. The Adepts shade backwards. He's only lost 3 Adepts. He took out a Ravager and 6 Roaches there. 2 sneaky Adepts coming from the south. Oh, MaxPax is doing this the most Protoss of all Protoss ways. The 0 commitment giant. It's such a scary attack, but it's so low commitment because he's shading back for insurance. The Disruptors just pick up and leave whenever he feels like it. This is beautifully executed. There we go. Finally, one of his balls does whiff there. That one only gets a single Roach, and this time the Adepts looking like they might get surrounded. But guys, there's no Roach speed here. And he's going to let that shade finish. Okay, at this point, he's unleashing it. MaxPax loosening his belt and preparing to take a big old Adept dump on these drone lines. 6 drones going down already. These Roaches are on top, but look out. That's where the damage is going to happen. And Lambo, realizing he's nowhere in position to defend that. And MaxPax takes the 3-0. A beautiful, beautiful execution of that. What did I say I was going to check in the early game of this one, guys? Remind me, I've already forgotten. I said I was going to check a thing, and then I forgot what the thing was. Was that in the previous game? I can't even remember, man. 13 Pylon. That's what we were checking. Okay, great. Thank you, Twitch chat. And indeed, this is just a standard 14 Pylon. Yeah, this map's short enough. You don't need a 13 Pylon. Oh, but he actually sends the probe out earlier. Okay, so maybe you do need a 13. Okay, so he actually sends a probe out just ahead of that probe, because he figures if he waits, puts the pylon down and goes, then Lambo might be able to get a hatchery down. Let's check the timing on that. That allows him to get there in time to stop a 15 hatch. He gets around 42 seconds, right about the time a 15 hatch would go down. So he says, look, maybe Lambo wants to just not get blocked and build a 15 hatch. I'm going to make sure he can't do that. So just sends this probe down a little ahead of time. Very cute adjustment by MaxPax there. And honestly, man, that attack with the disruptor drops is such an annoying attack. I gotta say, as the Zerg player, the way he's like, I normally see this as such a committed attack when Zaun does it, and I think this really shows the difference between a Korean player, Zaun, very aggressive, does the same sort of style, where it's like, I'm gonna shade on top of you and drop disruptors on your face, and MaxPax, the Europeans, much more cautious. They go, oh, technically I need to hedge my bets. I must be more efficient, and here in the Danish Principality, they teach us to be very safe, and not the best splits from Lambo in hindsight, right? And you can see this fight just goes so nicely for MaxPax. So in hindsight, should Lambo, when he sees that backwards shade, should he feint the attack and then just run back? I think there's an argument here that he should just run back and split his units and say, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to kill all these Adepts, and I'm just walking into disruptor shots. Maybe he should have just forced the shade, forced the Nova, and then just pulled back a little bit. So I think this was a slight misplay from Lambo in this engagement, and I think a really good trade for, of course, MaxPax, who he trades 3 Adepts here for a whole bunch of Zerglings and Roaches, you can see, for just 3 Adepts. And those Adepts are obviously having diminishing returns And he's well on his way to getting towards the Blink as well, remember, guys. He's going up to 6 Gateways, +1, Blink on the way, and he's already starting a Colossus as well. Beautiful, beautiful play there from MaxPax. Gets the 3-0.